This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Beers in the Lot is partnered with the Hockey Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Beers in the Lot. Before we get going, let me just remind you about our shop at beersinthelot.com/shop. That's where you can get t-shirts and other merchandise with Beers in the Lot logos on it. Also, check out beersinthelot.com for anything else you might be curious about this podcast. And be sure to join the Discord at beersinthelot.com/Discord. So in episode 168, the guys and I started off talking about Johnstown and how we're hyped for the upcoming tournament this weekend. And then with the terrible news about what happened to Adam Johnson over the weekend, we had a very serious discussion about protective gear. And then we tried to end the podcast on a somewhat lighter note and talked about the Shane Pinto gambling situation and suspension. So let's get to it. Let's crack the beers.
What's good, friends?
What's good? What you got tonight, John?
I'm murdering my thirst. I'm having a liquid death, sparkling water. So yeah, I have this evening, as we record, Monday, and then Halloween night, and then I've completed my Sober October requirement for the year. So
Very nice.
my BOS, my brother in sobriety for this month. Eric, what are you drinking this evening?
I have another athletic brewing product. I have Upside Down.
Sick. You an 11? You're more like a Vecna. You're more like a Vecna kind of guy, though. You're kind of, it's okay.
Upside Down.
Upside down.
Dawn.
Yeah.
As in the dawn of a new day.
Yeah.
And Danny has a very familiar can.
Yes, I do. It is Fest beer from Old Mother Brewing Company. It's good. It's a really good Pilsner. And Aaron, what do you have tonight?
I'm on a bit of a Belgian kick, it seems. I have a Hoegaarden wit beer. It's good stuff. Can't go wrong.
What's new? What say you, Aaron?
I'm just thinking about Johnstown, That's just on my brain and will be all week,
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm hype. Can't wait for Friday when the festivities begin. Make the trek, the annual pilgrimage up to PA, little stop at Breezewood, of course, got to. I'm driving all the way down via the highway, not taking some crazy exit half a mile before, like somebody always wants to do, John.
I always do, and I skip all the traffic. Sorry.
Traffic.
There's a lot of traffic.
So much traffic.
When do you pee?
When do I? I mean, I pee on the side of the road all the time. I don't care. So yeah.
There's a very convenient Sheetz right there at the intersection in Breezewood. You just run in, pee.
Dump all your cans. Yeah.
Wow.
Make
Let's
purchases without remembering.
Yeah, Danny time travels in there like Marty McFly. He hits 88 miles per hour somehow out of the van into there. Time travels and comes back.
Yep. And when we make it up to Johnstown, then got a game on Friday. What time is it? 5:20, right?
Correct.
Well, 5:20 tilt, and then have the evening to ourselves. Oh, something that I think that is lost or has not been brought up is that our 8 a.m. game on Sunday is, I believe, also the same day that the clocks fall back.
This is correct.
So our 8 a.m. game is actually going to feel like a 9 a.m. game, even though it is 8 a.m., but it'll feel like 9. However, I'm somewhat concerned that the sentiment of if we stay out until 2:12 a.m. or whenever the official rollback time is, then we'll be like, hey, it's only 1 a.m.
That sounds like some like drunk guy logic.
That's
exactly what that is.
That sounds
like
exactly
that.
like what might happen. So
I'm already tired just thinking about it.
You could nap on the way up.
Nah.
Could take
No,
a
I
cat
got
nap.
other stuff to do on the way up.
You can always take a cat nap, man. Just saying.
How was y'all's game last night?
It was a good little tilt.
Yeah.
It was even. Came down to the wire.
Very back and forth.
Yep.
So another
That's good.
night,
That's
no
good.
FPG. We'll just sum it up there. What about you, Daniel?
Our team won again.
2 in a row?
Weirdly, yeah.
Wow. You guys are wasting all your wins.
I know,
wasted your
right?
2.
Yeah, we should have waited to the
Sheesh.
playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Better off you didn't, you know. You don't want to throw wrenches and stuff.
Get them
That's
when you
okay.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Dan, that is cool.
There's a little better showing of the dudes in the lot this time. So
Yeah.
just happy about
yeah.
that.
A little bit better. Despite a couple raindrops, it was tentative there for a minute. I was about to say, hey, we need to get home. I'm not standing around in the rain, but came and went, so no big deal. But yeah, we had good showing a lot. Percentage wise, what would you put it at? Percentage wise, John? Percentage of players who showed up who stayed.
30%? So it was better than the 2 we had last week or whatever it was.
Percent.
Yeah, it still wasn't good.
It still wasn't. It was
there's-
better, yes.
There are still too many players that are not staying for the post game.
There was mention of it, however. There are many that are taking note. So
Yes.
the swell and the grassroots is, it's coming along. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. We can just, impress on everybody. Hey, what the hell's going on? We'll see what happens. I doubt anything changes. Why would it?
I can't believe what the Penguins just did.
Giving up shorthand.
I mean, I can believe it.
I
but
believe it. Are you
fucking
shocked? They're
dumb.
old.
They're so old.
So old.
Jari even fucking move.
Not toes in the
He's
net.
like, oh.
Well, it also the Penguins are going to go down, I guarantee, early in the season as like a poster boy for do not believe all the stats you read, advanced or otherwise, because they are like in the top 5 for expected goals 5-on-5, just with their puck possession and their shot metrics. Like they're in the top 5 of goals expected, but you have to convert those goals. So
That's
it's a good stat.
I
It
don't
is,
think-
but
I don't think you understand how that's calculated, but that's okay.
no,
They're
I
always
do.
a slow starting team, anyways.
They're very slow.
What's their shooting percentage right now?
Oh, I'm guarantee it's pretty shit across the
Yeah,
board if
so
I had to guess.
It's just not going in right now. It'll
Yeah.
start going in
It will.
because
Yeah.
that number historically comes back to an average of about 9 to 10%. So it's probably below that right now, and it'll come back.
I mean, they had
That was-
42 shots tonight, so
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
getting pucks on net.
Yeah, they had 12 on the 5-on-3.
I think Edmonton, their first couple of games they were playing, like they were averaging, I think their shot conversion was like 2 or 3%, like something so low for that team where you're like, this ain't gonna keep up. I mean, they boat raced Calgary yesterday in the Heritage Classic. So Connor McDavid was back. I'm sure he was all jacked about, seeing Nickelback live and whatnot. So that's cool. But
Canadian national treasure, man.
yeah, true. A hero saved them. It was Nickelback. But in other hockey news, there was some very depressing stuff regarding the game this weekend, which is, yeah, you guys can touch on it a little better than I can. Kind of shakes me up a little bit, I'll be honest.
Yeah, how could it not shake you up? I mean,
Yeah.
anytime you hear something as tragic as what happened with Adam Johnson, that's gonna shake you up for a bit. I thought about it multiple times playing last night. Honestly, I thought to myself that that was kind of a dangerous play, and like I'm noticing dangerous plays. It rattles you when you hear about a tragedy of that magnitude. Then yeah, I don't know how you couldn't be a little bit off just from that. But
Well, and also, too, the English Ice Hockey League today, I believe the exact wording they used, strong recommendation, meaning it's mandatory.
It wasn't the league.
I thought it was.
No, it was English Ice Hockey Association, which is basically like USA Hockey or Hockey
USA
Canada.
Hockey.
So what they said was it's a strong recommendation until December 31st, and then after December 31st, it's mandatory. The neck protection is. So basically, that's going to cover all of the amateur ranks and anything that comes under sanctioned hockey for EIHA. The Pro League hasn't said anything either way. Ice Hockey UK, which runs the Scottish and the Great Britain national teams, already had the requirement in place. So their junior teams and their national teams for men's worlds or whatever already had it in place. So yeah, I think the ball is rolling now, right? There were social media posts showing videos and pictures of the American Hockey League affiliate for the Bruins, the Providence Bruins. A couple guys were already out there wearing the neck guard integrated base layer shirts. So I think it's starting to happen that, unfortunately it takes an event like what happened over the weekend for people to actually take action. But at least now people are starting to think more proactively about, those type of catastrophic injuries.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a way to protect yourself, like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something as little as wearing a base layer that has the Kevlar protection on the neck. I mean, it's something easily enough to do, or it's not going to like hinder your ability to play at all. I think it's a smart move.
Well, and I think Eric kind of touched on it with English Ice Hockey doing it. Like, if USA Hockey just kind of mandated it, then at some point you can start mandating it higher up the levels, because all the kids one way or another will have already worn it or played with it for X amount of years. Now the NHL, that's where it gets a little tricky, because the NHL can make a recommendation, but the Players Association has to sign off on it.
So that's what's interesting today was there were reports that the union was already talking to players and to the league about including it in the next CBA. And the specific language that came out was that the league would provide the protection, which I thought was kind of, interesting. But they're already talking about it. It's that's the big point, right? And again, like, it takes something like this happening, but at least it's happening now.
I mean, it could be grandfathered in like they did with the visors.
Yeah, that's what they'll do.
As you come into the league, like, this is the new norm. And then as the guys get older, they'll, phase out, and eventually everybody will be wearing it.
Going back to USA Hockey and Hockey Canada. So Hockey Canada has always had the neck guard requirement. In fact, when you watch, the World Juniors, you'll see Hockey Canada is one of the few teams that, their players actually wear them, albeit they'll roll them up and wrap them in tape so that they're quote unquote more comfortable. So, it kind of negates the point. And in fact, like, if you go look at reviews of parents who have bought their kids either the standalone guards or the ones that are integrated with the shirts, you'll see multiple parents reviewing the items saying that, oh, my kid just rolls it up, so I don't even know why he's wearing it. And that's kind of the point, mom and dad. Like, it, like,
Parent.
let's be the parent. Okay. That's kind of the point. All right. And
I saw that exact same review.
So you know what I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, and it's on the specific shirt that my own son wears, and he has always worn neck protection, partly because when I was growing up, and I'll come back to this in a minute, when I was growing up playing, it was required. But that changed, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But also because, I've seen and read about the incidents, the famous ones and the not so famous ones, and you have to wear it. Like, it's a non-starter, and it always has been in our house. So that's just the way it is. And so, when he was younger, he started out wearing the Velcro neck guards that suck. They do. They're itchy and they, whatever, but they do the job. And then when the shirts came out with the integrated protection, then he started wearing those. And he even says, like, there's no point in not wearing that. Like, you should just wear it. So, and then as a coach, that's always my recommendation to parents and players, is that they strongly think about that stuff, because it is not required and it hasn't been for some time. And I was talking to my parents about this over the weekend. We went to lunch on Sunday, brunch, lunch, whatever. And so it was, day after everything happened. And they were asking about it. And, when I was playing, I had 2 guards in case, I lost or forgot one, because you had to have it to play. And then I had to wear that all the way up through college club, even, where it was required there because it was USA Hockey sanctioned. But then something happened, like when I was done with that and I started playing beer league, it was no longer required, even though things were USA Hockey sanctioned. And I don't remember exactly what year or what season or anything, but that all changed. And I think there's a correlation between the focus on concussion management and prevention, and the neck guards and the protection against that stuff kind of subsiding. I think, like, over the last 10 15 years, we've been so focused on concussion management and protocols and prevention that we're forgetting a lot of the other things that can happen to you on the ice. We're forgetting about, obviously, lacerations to the neck and face area. We're forgetting about lacerations to the wrist. We're forgetting about lacerations to legs, which I know personally, not on our team, but one of the teams in the club, a kid got cut up by a skate on top of their knee, and missed some time this season. So, this stuff's happening, and it's happening at all levels, to varying degrees of severity. And I think that, at the very least, as a national governing body, like USA Hockey should come back and say, you know what, we're requiring this again, or we're reinforcing the rule, or whatever it needs to be, and start there. And then also start talking about other sensitive areas, right? Soft areas, back of the leg, the Achilles, again, the wrist, the separations in padding between the pants and the shin guards, all these types of areas that are prone to, lacerations and cuts. So that's my TED talk.
Well, and I know especially too, like a lot of companies, Bauer, someone can correct me if I'm 100% wrong. Bauer, I think, was one of the first companies to come out with an integrated neck protection into the garment. And I know War Road, TJ Oshie's company, they have stuff now, which is great. And you see a lot of NHL guys. I think like a good chunk of the NHL trainers, they do the Kevlar weave, or like the, kind of piece of fabric in the back of the leg of the hockey sock. A lot of teams do that. The wrist protection, a lot of players are wearing it, since the Kane injury, and they were wearing it prior to that. So that's a good bonus. The neck stuff, I'm sure I wouldn't be shocked if a few guys start wearing it more and more, or over the course of 3 or 4 years as younger kids come up, because their governing bodies are going to mandate it one way or another. They're going to do it. The biggest thing, kind of what you touched on there, Riggs, because I wore in mites and I think only a few games in squirts, and I wore the neck guard, and I remember complaining to my father, like it was really uncomfortable. So he taped like the back down a little bit by the Velcro, where it was kind of like scratching my neck. And I remember like, oh, could you roll it like so-and-so? Because there was another kid that had it like taped literally all the way around. I remember going like, well, what's the point? Like, you gotta wear it. Like, if I do that, do you just want a hockey lace around your neck? Like a necklace? So like,
yep.
So in hindsight, like I've, I don't remember ever seeing a scary injury like that. I have seen somebody's leg cut, and it wasn't cut through the sock. It was almost like a puncture wound. It was really strange to see because his calf almost got cut in two. It was wild.
Jeez.
And that was in high school. So
There's some crazy injuries that you can't possibly predict some of these things. And there's one injury that sticks out to me, having worked at the rink for a long time, and seeing, enough hockey games transpire in front of you. Sometimes things happen, and there was one incident where a stanchion from the boards broke free at the top, but not at the bottom, and literally fell down at neck level in the middle of the
gosh.
game. And I don't know what actually happened to this kid because I never actually followed up on it, but there was ambulances involved. I mean, it was a bad injury as a result of literally skating at full speed into a piece of metal that just fell in his
Eesh.
way. I mean, we seen the one video about
That's crazy.
the HVAC stuff falling down in the middle of the rink. I mean, like, you can't possibly predict what's going to happen. And I think that Riggs hits the nail on the head. And you too, John, if you can protect a vulnerable area, then do it. I mean, we play a very, very fast game with very fast moving hard objects and sharp objects involved. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that every hockey sock that goes around everybody's shin guards, I'm surprised that every single sock is not cut resistant for exactly the reason that Riggs was talking about with, the injuries that you get to your legs, because that's where the sharp objects are. I mean, they're down near your feet areas, and that happens all the time. You get tangled up, you skate into who knows? I mean, anything can happen. And it's a travesty. It's a tragedy that something like this had to happen for the ball to start rolling.
And there cannot be the excuse that we can't force the manufacturers into certain standards, because they already do it.
Right.
They do it with every other piece of equipment. It has to meet certain standards. Like, the biggest example is the helmets. In an amateur setting, the on-ice officials are supposed to ensure that those helmets are rated properly and they carry the unexpired certifications. So that you have to have the stickers that come, everybody wants Pro Stock because it doesn't have the stickers on the back, right? But technically, you're supposed to have those things because it ensures a minimum standard, right? A certain level of safety that internationally we've all agreed upon, right? So you can do this with any other piece of equipment. I guarantee it. The precedent is already there. If it's the hockey sock, you know what? Go ahead and do it.
Time out for just a second while we hear about our sponsors. We'll be right back. The NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day this October. Get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the NFL. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources.
It might be early to start decorating for the holidays, but it's never too early to start your holiday shopping. Why not start well before Black Friday? Right now, you can shop Raycon products and save up to 50% off during their early Black Friday sale. You've heard me talk about Raycon's earbuds before, specifically their most comfortable fit. Well, this past year, Raycon expanded their entire business with the introduction of Raycon Home and Raycon PowerTech. Their 5-star reviewed Magic 180 cable allows you to charge all of your devices 8 times faster with 100-watt power delivery. And their Faucet Filter Ultra filters the water in your tap against chlorine and heavy metals. To get everyone in the holiday shopping spirit a bit early, Raycon is currently offering 20% off everything on their site with select products up to 50% off. Hurry now to buyraycon.com/THPN to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score up to 50% off Raycon products. buyraycon.com/THPN.
Well, I'm thinking of just some like freak stuff that's happened in the last couple of years. Like last week, Lauco in the AHL, or was it NHL? I can't remember if he was up or down. He got cut near his eye,
Yes.
like inches, and he was very fortunate. And a few years ago, Taylor Hall during warmups, like he fell, then somebody was next to him and tried to like kind of move over him really fast and help, it was weird. And Hall he had a pretty big zipper going down to his eye. I mean, if it was like an inch lower, it's on his eye. That eye's gone. I mean, so that's one reason they mandate helmets during warmups, which is good. And I still know like some, teams will pay the fine for the rookie lap and all that. But like, I don't know. I mean, especially for what we play, like you should, number one, wear a cage. You should wear or a full visor, especially with your helmet nowadays. At least, like if you don't want to wear the cut stuff, fine. But like, there's some crazy stuff that even happens in our game. I mean, like pucks jump up, sticks, bodies. It's
honestly,
nuts.
I'm more worried about, like, since it is a lower level, people are not as aware of what they're doing or even know what they're doing. So the risk is even higher.
Yes.
For all of those things. All of it.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, some people skate around with sticks a little high and hit people in the side of the faces and stuff. And I've heard of this. I've heard of things like this happening.
Heard of that happening, yes.
What are you talking about? That's a ricochet shot against my father?
Yes, it is.
That's just.
But it's a true story.
It's true, yes. It's true. That's true.
He was on my team.
I know.
Yeah. Which is all the more, to the point.
Freak stuff happens, unfortunately.
It's
It
just
sucks.
You don't know what's going to happen out there.
Yeah.
And how you started this, Aaron, talking about how when we were playing last night, you were observing things and then thinking about it on the ice and everything. If you had a certain level of protection, it kind of gives you that peace of mind. You could just kind of play hockey as a free hockey player, so to speak, right? It frees up your mind to just play the game rather than, worrying about all the things that could happen.
Yep. I tell you what, I woke up, I guess it was Sunday. I woke up and saw that the news about what had happened, and I literally went straight to a hockey gear site and upgraded my base layer and included neck protection. And I'm glad I did, because obviously and thankfully there is a shortage of some of these products now. I think that it's a good sign that a lot of people are doing the same thing. But I want that peace of mind now. I don't want to have to worry about that sort of thing when I'm playing. And at the very least, if I'm doing my part to protect myself, then that's one less thing that I have to worry about, and I can just enjoy the game now. So I agree with you completely. And we kind of talked about it too when we were talking about, upgrading gear and how am I going to incorporate, cut protection into my gear. And Daniel mentioned, he's like, for the longest time, if a guy showed up to our league and wore a neck guard, like it might even get made fun of.
Yeah.
And I think that the normalization of protective gear that needs to happen. There can't be any stigma on wearing things that protect you.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want to wear something to protect yourself, even if it's something that other people are like, man, that's probably a little much. Like, if it's not affecting the way the game is played, then let people do what they want. Don't make fun of people for wanting to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if anything, I mean, I know what I'm going to talk about. If anybody wants to give me crap about neck protection, I got it 3 names off the top of my head that's probably all that needs to be said about why are you wearing neck protection. Everybody knows Malarchik, Zednik, and Johnson now. I mean, nobody should be making fun of anybody
Well,
for this anymore.
You know what is kind of annoying? You kind of touched on it a little bit. Like hockey, unfortunately, as a culture, is so slow to react, and they're so like, "Oh no, this is the way we do shit," and whatever. Like Bill Masterson passed away because of a head injury in like the late '60s, '68 or '69. I was saying it. I was talking to in a group chat. They didn't like grandfather helmets for like another 22 years.
Yeah.
All right.
Like so, I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, and then let's go one step further. Like Eddie Shore gave a career-ending injury to Ace Bailey, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is tough." I'm like, no, that's like literally assault what he fucking did. He was also a former Bruin, so everybody loves him. Eddie Shore sucks. I'll just say it. I don't care. But like, but that's the shit. I'm like, there's a difference
Yeah.
between being like tough or like, let's call it,
Yeah.
respect to the game or the culture versus being like a jackass. So, yeah, I mean, especially for wearing protective gear. Like we have guys that we play with that some wear shoulder pads, some don't. Good chunk of guys wear cages, which is great. I mean, you're not allowed to wear like nothing on your face anymore, I don't think. There's a few guys with visors, but very few and far between, which is also good. Like, because I mean, I would feel bad. I mean, I think about that too. Like, I don't want to be the guy where like something happens to me and I accidentally hurt somebody. I would feel like shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if you take an errant shot, it goes up somebody's stick and knocks somebody's chiclets out. I feel like shit with that. I mean, so let's take it one step further and go worse. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that feeling.
Right.
That sucks. So, I mean, I feel bad when I hit goalies in the head. I mean, we have some people that do it like 2 or 3 times a game. Then it's kind of funny, but like, like I just I don't know. I just,
No, I mean you're touching on an interesting point here because hockey culture is definitely this one of like, oh, just toughen up and take it, like get back out there, etc. Like, yeah, that's our game, that's our culture and whatnot, but that's also the culture of yesteryear at the same time. Like it's the same. We've had the same conversation about the tough guys who only go out and barely can even skate, but they can fight and they just rough people up. Those guys aren't relevant anymore. Those guys they're not a thing. And the culture of you don't need to wear that protection. If you get hurt, just take it and get back out there. Like that.
Well,
Yes,
yeah.
to an extent, but at the same time, just protect yourself.
There's a line, right?
Yeah, there's a
And
line.
this is actually something that I try to work on with the kids, that there's a line there, right? That when you play the game, automatically you're going to have bumps and bruises because it's just the way the game is, right?
It's the nature of the game. Yeah.
And yes, you absolutely have to play through those. You
course.
cannot be a hockey player and not play through those. Like that's
This
not
isn't
how,
soccer.
That's not how it works, right? But if you're injured, right, something is not working, right?
Yeah.
Like, then pull yourself out, tell somebody, get what you need to get better.
Mhm.
That's how it works. Now,
And do the things that will help you to avoid those injuries.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
nobody
gotta-
should give you crap for
you have to-
avoiding injury.
You have to play a certain way. You have to learn that. That's a huge part of it, really. Aside from all the technical stuff and the equipment and everything, just learning how to play the right way so that you're not going to get injured, or you're going to at least minimize the risk. That's probably 85% of it. Then the rest of it is, are you wearing the right things and are you taking care of that stuff? Take care of your equipment, it'll take care of you. So when you get home, take it out of your fucking bag so the bacteria doesn't eat up all the padding, because guess what? The padding is preventing you from getting hurt, this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Right? It's all that kind of messaging. But you're right. There's a line there, and then there's like the cultural stigma stuff and the, you know, oh, you know, just rub some dirt on it and get back out there and all that. Well, it's kind of hard to do that when you're bleeding out on the ice. So,
Yes.
you know, wear the right shit to prevent catastrophic injury. It's
The other
pretty
thing-
simple.
The other thing with hockey culture, it's like, yeah, you're tough, so you got to be tough. So like, you know, I'm gonna slash so and so or do this or that. Like, fuck off. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
don't know. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing is like, we're very fortunate in the level and group we play with. Like, we all just go out there every Sunday night, try and do our shit, go
Right.
drink beer. You know, the 20% that stays after and actually socializes. So like that's like kind of like can we just get to that? Like, it's already tough enough. I mean, like, in a funny way, like, it's already rough enough. All of us getting out there every night, every Sunday night and skating,
Yes.
let alone like all the other stuff that can happen between the pucks, the sticks, everything else. Like, we don't need more. I mean, think about it like in a funny, and I'm not even trying to like make a joke with it. Like, just catching a pass sometimes in our league's an adventure. You know, like people throw it like at the top of your
bones
boot
about
and
it,
stuff.
right?
And
Yeah.
I'm making a joke, but I'm actually being a little serious. Like, you know, like there's just stuff that happens.
Right.
It's part of hockey. It's the way it is. But like, you know, saying it, oh, that's hockey, that's culture. It's like, dude, like, okay, like,
Yeah,
get it,
getting
but
your
I'm also like,
neck cuts, not
but
the hockey
no,
culture.
but I try to flip it. Like, if that's your excuse, it's like, well, let's see. Like, I'm not saying like it has to happen to you or anyone, but like, how would you feel if that's your loved one or your child out there that
Yeah,
happened to?
Exactly.
Right.
Like, no, I highly doubt then it's a hockey culture. It's the game. So that, like, for me, like that logic, that explanation, it doesn't fly. It hasn't flown for, you know, I think even since when I started coaching, like very young, I kind of like flipped a lot of my thoughts on some of the, you know, kind of, I wouldn't call it machismo, but, you know, kind of like the, you know, status quo, whatever you want to call it. Like, it flipped very quickly. Cause then, you know, especially the group I dealt with, it was like 8U. That's my favorite age group. So like, you know, seeing little kids out there and then hearing their parents like, oh, you gotta get your stick in there. It's like, no, you moron. Like, no, they don't. These kids can barely like jokingly, like, you see them run outside before and you're going to tell them to do this on the ice. Like, get out of here. I'm like, get out of here.
The goal of everybody is to walk out of the rink to the cooler and have a beer.
Yeah.
That's the goal when you begin to put on your gear at every game. That's our goal, at least, is to be able to everybody to walk out of the rink to walk out of the rink uninjured, because I will say from experience, I have walked out of the rink under advice from another podcaster. And I was
That was
definitely
advice.
injured.
It wasn't a direction, though. It was advice.
It was stated as a direction, but
But it was
we will
advice.
call it advice, I guess.
Which it was unsolicited.
I remember distinctly somebody straight up telling you need to get off the ice. You're embarrassing us.
Yes, that also happened. But
Or another
don't-
podcaster.
Another podcaster. He
Yeah.
He may-
Podcast.
he may be affiliated with this one. I'm unsure of
Yes.
that, but I just want
However,
to
It's
say,
unconfirmed.
however,
I can say with full confidence that I was wearing enough protective equipment that the injury I sustained, which was a broken fibula, should probably not have happened. And I honestly don't know the physics of how it's possible that I broke my legs sliding into the boards at 2 miles an hour. But again, this is actually to the point.
Science.
It's like you don't know what's going to happen. There is no way to predict injury or potential for possibility for injury. So if you are taking all the proper precautions, then you can at least play the game knowing that you're protected for the things that you can possibly predict. And that's the best you can do. Sometimes you're still gonna, break your left fibula when you slide into the boards at 2 miles an hour. But hopefully your teammates won't goad you into walking out on it and carrying your bag and then walking on it for another 3 days. But that's
But you-
that's still so sick.
That's
That's
neither here
still
nor
so
there.
did.
That's still
Choices,
so
though.
sick.
That's
But
your
you
own
did
choice.
walk out. But you did
I
walk
you
out.
did
did
walk
walk
out, and I did have a beer, I believe.
That's right. So,
It probably made it feel better.
Oh yeah, definitely made it feel better.
It's still so sick.
I started wearing shoulders after I had my first son. I was like, it wasn't even really to protect my shoulders. It was more to protect the heart.
Yep.
So like,
Yep.
if I take a shot in the chest or
spine.
something, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I should probably protect that. So
Mhm.
I'm probably gonna take that and do it the same with my underlayer now.
I know my like father, like this was years and years ago when he was playing in Laurel. Like he busted his collarbone because he was going around the net. He moved out of the way because a guy was coming at him, and then right past that guy, there was a dude who just like literally fell right in front of me. He had no time to react.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad like went to kind of brace himself, and when he did, that he landed awkwardly
Yep.
and like busted his collarbone. And he even said, he's like, never in a million years would I expect that to happen. But I mean, you guys know, my dad wore like full equipment all the time.
Yeah.
Didn't wear, a visor or anything. He always had, a cage, shoulder pads, cup, even though I didn't wear a cup for a billion years. Like everything. So yeah.
I think this kind of leads into the whole don't skip your equipment pieces either too, because I know personally I used to not skate with shoulders or elbow pads.
Well, the elbows is frightening. What are you doing?
Well, somebody eventually said you don't wear elbow pads, and it took having a bursa injury, an elbow injury,
Yeah.
to make me decide maybe I should wear these and don't make the same mistakes. I was doing this as a stupid kid in my early 20s, and don't make the same mistakes. Don't let an injury be the point where you decide to start wearing gear. My one knee clicks when I fully extend it, because when I was 19 years old, I would go out on the one rink with Daniel and John, and I fell on my knee one time when we were out skating on the ice, like dead ice or whatever, and I had no shin guards on because I'm an idiot. Why on earth was I playing hockey with no shin guards? Like we would play full on, like 1v1v1 or 2v2 or whatever. We were playing little games. Why on earth were we not wearing gear? We were dumb.
Well, it took me breaking my jaw for you guys to wear a shield or a cage.
Well, I will be honest, hand up now too. Like looking back on it, like I kind of chuckle how like naive I was, because I wore a cage my entire hockey career.
Yeah.
And then like I turned 18 playing beer league with you guys, and the first couple of games I just had my cage, got a visor, had it. Like 3 or 4 weeks later, got elbowed in my schnoz, like at the top of my schnoz. And thank God I didn't need like any zippers or anything, and it didn't go lower or anything. So thank God on that. And then like a month later, you got your jaw injury.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like really fortunate, because I'm also not the tallest guy. I'm a lot of stick level for
Your
a lot of
elbow
guys.
height, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I joke a lot of the time, like if your stick is near my neck or my head, like I'm 5'1", not 1'1", so you got a problem, not me. But yeah, like that's my issue with that. Like,
yeah, your head's over the bar. Like, come on.
Well, the other week,
keep your sticks down.
Somebody tried to like do the Zegris, and I high sticked it, like just like whatever, it was too high. And so the ref just goes high stick, and I was like, "How? I touched it. That's not a high stick. It's not that bad." But yeah. But I mean, did anyone know? Is anyone gambling on OFBG games? By the way, because that is allowed. I just want to say that is allowed. You're allowed to do that.
It's in our CBA.
That
You're
is
allowed
you
to.
are allowed to do
Yeah,
that.
whoever bet against the Oilers last night made a bag on us.
On the OFBG Oilers.
Yeah.
It was probably all the Oilers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah, it was probably one of them.
The game.
Well, I would like to say on the Shane Pinto thing.
Bet.
So here's where it's weird for anyone that wasn't following it. He's a kid from Long Island, plays in Ottawa and Canada, obviously. The reason why his legal betting account was flagged in New York was Ottawa was somewhere, like, let's say they were in Ottawa or like in San Jose or some nonsense for a game. His account in New York bet a game.
No, but that's not what the league said.
Well, it was like a proxy.
Why?
I thought it was a proxy bet.
No, that's not what the league said. Why he got suspended? He got suspended
now?
because He got suspended because he was placing bets in a team facility.
Yeah. Just like the NFL's policy, you can't do that.
And they said it wasn't NHL. It was just random sport in the team facility. He was using one of the apps.
So for those who are not, following at home or whatnot, we're talking about Shane Pinto being suspended for 41 games for violating the league's sport wagering rules. So yes, the news that came out was that he made a bet on not even a hockey game, but he did it in a facility, in the team's facility, and that's the reason why he was suspended, to my understanding.
My
That's
question
what the
with
league
that,
said.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what the league said.
My only question with that is like, if the kid has a problem, I really hope he's getting help.
I don't
Because
think he
if, like,
does.
I'm not saying he does, but I'm just saying, like, if you know that's in the CBA and you can't do it, like, you can't place bets on hockey, you can't place bets on team facilities, subtract what we care about, like, who freaking cares? While the NHL is, inviting legal gambling in, I get it. But, like, if he felt the need to do it then and there, like, I'm not saying he has addiction, not saying he has a compulsion, but it's like, if he has an issue, I hope he's getting help. That's all I'm saying.
But some dudes have gotten less time than like physically assaulting somebody.
Correct.
Well, and there are various scumbags in the NHL and even organizations. They've done way worse shit than this, and they're not getting the hammer thrown at them.
There have been guys who have been arrested that were suspended. Wasn't
Evander Kane embroiled in like a gambling?
Well, he had a gambling debt he just refused to pay, and that was at a Vegas casino. So, like, a little different altogether. It wasn't Sportbook. It was like blackjack But he's a piece of shit anyway because he has other
awful
stuff.
Lot like Kane, Evander Kane has a serious gambling issue, whereas Shane Pinto, typed up a couple of numbers onto his phone one day, like
on the team Wi-Fi.
On the team Wi-Fi, like,
which is basically the crux of this.
Is this really that bad? Like, this is them throwing the book at somebody to throw the book at somebody. Is what it really looks like.
So I think that the deals that they do have to allow legal gambling on NHL games, they have deals with all of the sports books.
Sure.
Right? We read ads for one of them, right? Yep. I think
use the code THPN, please.
I think there is so much money
it's not on team Wi-Fi.
There's so much money that is tied up in that's why he's being made the example. That you are not going to screw with our deals. Like this is not happening. And I also think, and this is complete conspiracy theory, because he is still not under contract, and he was offered a QO, a qualifying offer, by the Ottawa Senators. I think that Dorian knew, the GM, he knew, and they were holding that information, and that was like his nuclear option to try and get this kid to comply.
Well, and the other thing where I said, like, if it was his friend placing it, the proxy bet, the other thing is, if that's his buddies that did it using his account, that mistake cost him probably 1.9 to 2 some $1 million, because he was going to sign for 2 to 2.5 mil. And now when he comes back, he'll probably sign for league minimum. There's a 20-goal scorer last year. So that's a hefty mistake. And like I said, to like throw the book at the kid, like, he's young, he'll hopefully recover from it, but sucks. Feel bad.
Yeah,
we need some good press in the league.
I don't think that he's going to be like, Tiger King and not be able to financially recover, but he's definitely going to have some setback. But
I think he'll be all right. He's a good player. The the problem is like, how do you move forward? Like as the NHL dealing with this stuff, you've got there's the jokes being made all over the last week about how he's he played for the Senators and he had to wear a helmet that had Bet99 on it, which is one of the major Canadian sportsbooks apps. And the board advertising is all DraftKings and FanDuel and BetMGM and everybody else. So and
THPN.
The Gold Knights, we're watching them right now quite literally play inside of an MGM property. So it's all this kind of stuff.
I did see the meme about Mark Stone. Getting suspended for gambling on ice.
The
slot machine while raising
the slot machine for the banner.
I did like that. Like that was a good touch of humor. I'm like, that's good.
But
like
also it's, I mean, like, come on, like if it wasn't on the NHL, like I don't think.
Then who cares?
I don't think we can cry.
Cares?
I don't think we can cry foul on this. Yeah. I don't think.
Certainly not a half-season suspension.
No, it's unbelievable.
Like if you got to suspend him, okay, fine. Give him something hefty. 10 games is a big deal.
Right.
Give him 10. If you really, really want to make it like an example, then give him 10 games, and then everybody knows, hey, they're not screwing around with this. If you make a bet on lacrosse or something like that on the team Wi-Fi, then they're going to get you for it. So then everybody knows and nobody does it again. Like I guarantee you nobody's going to do it anymore, but did it take 41 games to get that?
Even what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, what's wrong with
it is well known that NHL players place personal bets between each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
Right.
They are degenerates. Like they like the term money on the board, right? Like all that kind of stuff goes on.
And cards and all that nonsense on the planes and buses. Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of dollars on road trips.
Right.
Like let's not kid ourselves that there's a difference between those two things. Like there's not. The only difference is he was probably using an app either for a competing sports book that the league or the Sens are working with, or the one that they are working with. and they don't want to mess with that deal, that money.
It's just like the NHL though, to dole out a suspension that doesn't make sense for the offense, or to not do it, or to do way more than they should. Like they can never get this right.
Can't get a lot of things right.
There's a lot of things that can't.
By the way, John, we need some Rounders memes.
Oh God.
Paid this man his money.
All right, that's it for this one. Thank you for your listen and for your support. We appreciate all of your likes and ratings and reviews and subscriptions on the various podcatchers. Keep them coming. We appreciate every single one of them. I know I speak for the rest of the guys when I say have a good one, and we'll catch you next week when our new episode drops on Wednesday. See ya.